What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Groomer Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Martin, and today we're going to talk about how to buy and build a salon. I am here in more than a salon, really. I should backtrack on my words. How to buy and build a facility. You're going to know what I'm talking about. Just give me here a sec. I'm here with Miki Gayle, founder of Alpha Pet Resort. She transformed a rundown boarding facility in middle of nowhere country into a successful award-winning pet resort. She's been at it for over 20 years. They have daycare, grooming, training, boarding, all sorts of services. We're going to get into all of these details here on this episode. Miki, thank you so much for joining us. I was so excited for this conversation, given all the stuff that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
First off, I must say, I was scrolling around your guys' website, doing a little pre-show research, and the motto, where all pets are alphas, that is the best slogan ever.
I like that one too.
That is awesome. I totally see that with the name, and that alone, I'm like, I need to bring my dog there.
That's funny. Well, we didn't think of it. I can't take credit for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so, take me back to the thing you did think of. You said over 20 years ago, you guys were kind of looking for that next move. And you stumbled across an ad in the paper, something like that, right? I mean, take me back to 20 years ago. I know it seems like forever ago, but just, what were you guys thinking back then? Is this something you guys were like seeking out or just kind of happened?
It just kind of happened. So at the time I had dropped out of college. I did eventually go back, but didn't really know what I wanted to do. Didn't, same thing, who is not my husband, was my boyfriend, just didn't really know what he wanted to do with himself. And again, this was before Google. This was before anything, Craigslist didn't even exist then, no social media. But anyway, so he was looking through the Washington Post and this ad said, if you love dogs and you love the country, call this number. And he was like, okay. So he called and spoke with the previous owner of what was called Alpha Kennels and wanted to come down and see it and asked me to come with him. And so we came down and he, we looked around and he really liked the idea because he loves animals, always has. I've known him since seventh grade, and he's just always loved animals. I didn't grow up with pets, so it wasn't really my thing yet, but he was like, hey, do you think we could do this? Can we handle this? And I was like, I don't know. I guess so. Let's try it. I was working at a bank and, I was going to be moving an hour away. I'd never lived in a rural setting before. He and I grew up in Arlington, Virginia, which is very urban. It's right next to DC. And so it was we're like, okay, let's take the plunge and see what it's all about. And didn't realize what a bad reputation the place had because, again, Google didn't exist. So it took us a while to turn it around.
Okay, so not only have you guys, a lot of people jump into pet services and hadn't necessarily worked in pet services before, done that. A lot of it starts with just like dog lovers and passionate dog people, or pet people rather. But not only that, but it had a horrible reputation. So how did you guys find that out? Was it after the sale or as you guys started looking into it a little bit more, did it start coming out?
It was after the sale. And so, we had the day we purchased and took ownership, there were dogs here. There were dogs boarding already. And those customers actually stuck with us for a long time. So they knew what was happening. They knew it was going under new ownership and they stuck with us. And just over time, we started to hear stories that it maybe wasn't the best, nicest place to take your dog. Not that the care was bad, it just the actual location itself wasn't
the facilities
that.
And stuff
Yeah,
like
the facility itself was just kind of old and run down, and it just wasn't that great.
So, that's crazy. Did you guys lose customers from it at all, or no?
It's hard to say because there was no database kept or anything like that. And the town that we live in now was much smaller then too. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know how to really answer that because I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You guys were doing stuff pre-Google. That alone seems like when the dinosaurs were walking.
Yes.
Well, so take me. You guys, took a huge chance on buying this facility. If you don't mind me asking, how did you guys finance something like that? Was that you guys just went to the kind of the local chamber of commerce and bank, or you guys used your savings, or what did it look like?
We got a lot of help from my husband's parents. So they have always owned businesses. They are like, if we didn't have them in our lives, I don't know how we maybe would have navigated the whole thing. So they've
Got
owned
it.
businesses, and they got us at least started with the whole concept of owning your own business. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
helped
yeah.
us a lot in the beginning. Yeah, helped us
That's
secure
awesome.
all the financing and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
That's amazing. And was this the only facility you guys looked at?
Yeah. Yeah. We were, like I said, we weren't even really sure what we were getting into. We were young.
That's
So
so funny. And were they
yeah.
just doing boarding when you guys, when it first happened?
Yes, yes, and I
Okay.
the, previous owner, I believe he also bred dogs, so he used it mostly for breeding and then boarded a few dogs here and there. So, then we
Wow, that is
started
that is
adding everything
incredible.
else.
Okay, so you guys, you go ahead and you make the sale. I know again that this is a long time ago, so I'll take whatever you can give me. But what
Okay.
were some of those first things that you did when you took over this new business? I mean, I know a lot of our audience members are not are and maybe not experienced what it's like to buy or take over a new facility, but maybe
Right.
want to. And so like, peeking across the other side, what does that look like? Like once you finally got in there, what were some of the first things you guys did?
One of the first things was just kind of evaluating the facility itself. How can we make this look cleaner, be, a more clean, inviting place for dogs? And at the time, I didn't have any children yet, and my dog was spoiled rotten. Like I had never had a pet before. This dog was like the world to me. And so little by little, I started telling Jason, I'm like, this dog needs to watch the prices right. We need to get this place like I would want to leave him. And he was like, okay. So little by little, we just started approaching it from the aspect that it was a nice enough place, but it was where it wasn't homey at all for a dog. So we started just thinking further ahead. How can we make this feel like this dog is in a home setting better? Obviously, while still being able to keep it clean and that kind of stuff. When you're boarding dogs, you can't really have like sofas around. They're not going to last. They'll
Yeah.
get chewed up and peed on immediately. So just how we can make it a home environment, but also something that we could keep clean for animals. So it took, like I said, it was just kind of envisioning little by little, how can we get this changed a little bit, the actual facility itself. So,
No, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I find that the most successful businesses, pet care or not, happen to do with when you're solving a problem for yourself. And so with your
yeah.
little spoiled dog, what kind of dog was it?
Again, an American Bulldog.
It was what? Oh, an American Bulldog. Okay,
An
so with your little
American Bulldog,
American
yeah.
Bulldog princess, yeah, with
Yeah,
her, and you're walking through your facility. I mean, you're solving a problem for yourself at that point, right? Where you're like, okay,
yeah,
I would never leave her in a kennel that looks like this. Why is that? Let me put together a quick list on what I would
exactly.
need to leave my little baby here. And if I can do it,
Yeah,
then somebody else can do it, right? And so I mean,
yes.
that is such a, whether you knew it at the time or not, I feel like that's a great idea for anyone out there within their own facilities is like, what would I want for my dog here? Um,
Hmm.
okay, so you guys got in, you did that. It seems like you made a lot of like aesthetic changes, right? When it came to, you know, cleaning up the paint, making everything seem a little bit
Hmm.
cleaner, not as dirty,
Yeah,
maybe add some new
yeah.
furniture, stuff like that. Did you guys change the process at all? Did you do like, hey, what's it look like when somebody checks in? Can we make that better? What's it look like when we have a dog stay? Can we make that better? Did you guys change any of that, or was it really just let's maintain course and we'll deal with that later?
Uh, it's definitely, it was, kind of trial and error, because at the time it was just Jason by himself. He was doing everything. I worked at a mortgage company, and I was never even here. And so he just little by little, one thing about him is he's very charismatic, and like I said, he loves animals. So he just started talking to customers in the lobby for like long periods of time, wanted to learn about their animals, wanted to see what types of things their dogs were comfortable with, and talking from everything to nutrition to vaccines, like everything. And that is really, I think, how we kind of evolved, because people loved the fact that we cared so much about their animals. And it was just him, he did absolutely everything. He answered the phones. He was out until 11 o'clock at night, pressure washing everything. And just over time, and I think that we're lucky in this particular environment because it's a small town, and word spreads quickly here, and people started really getting to know him and his passion and started to take chances. Those, like I told you, those, like, I think there were 3 or 4 customers that had their dogs here when we took over, became longtime loyal customers. Going through multiple dogs at this point. Their dogs passed away, and they got another one and another one, and so I think that I give the most of the credit of the reputation turnaround to him because he was really just he's so good with the customers. He just loves it. So
And I absolutely love that story too, and especially, I mean, it's a no brainer for why that works out. But people, I talk to people all the time about like what are the best marketing things for marketing, tactics to get more people in the doors of your salons or your mobiles or your boarding facilities, etc. And the number one thing I always say is like you cannot beat a customer relationship. Like you
Mhm.
cannot beat, everyone starts to know Jason in town. It's not like you
Right.
guys started running ads. It's not like you guys, and maybe you guys did all that stuff. But the number one reason why people started coming was because they knew Jason and they knew how much he
Right.
cared and that he
Right.
was there. And if he was putting his name and his face and all of his work hours on the line, then maybe they should trust it. Right. And so I
Right.
love that story because that's what it takes for a lot of these people right up front. Right. Is like you got to get your
Mhm.
hands dirty. You got to get in there and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And here
Yeah.
you guys are 22 years later, I think you said, on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it was boarding for a while. When did you guys start
Mhm.
adding now? You guys have this whole suite of services, which is
Yeah.
phenomenal. And I can't wait to get into
Yeah.
how this all works together. But what was kind of that first step to start looking at adding like that first service, right? From boarding.
So grooming was what we added next. And with grooming, I guess the idea started at we don't want the dogs to go home if they've been running around in a muddy yard. We're going to start washing them. So we had like just minimal equipment at that time, just giving them exit baths kinds of things, researching what the best shampoos were. Again, this was a really long time ago, so we were ordering out of catalogs, um, and um, and so just learning like researching shampoos and that kind of thing, and then we were in touch with a groomer who she was getting ready to retire, but she worked with us for a few years and really taught us a lot about how to bathe properly. So we learned from her, and then we learned, over time that so much of the grooming industry is people learning from other groomers, and so she eventually retired, and then our grooming manager that we have now, came and joined us and even taught us more about how to properly wash dogs. And then daycare and then she, of course, in the middle of all that, they're doing actual haircuts too. I don't know how to do that. Jason doesn't know how to do that. That's the grooming. But the bathing,
Yeah.
they definitely helped us learn what that was all about. And then we added daycare later in training.
Okay.
So,
That makes sense. I mean, grooming first, was there,
mhm.
some super high level, genius insight that Mickey made to be like, hey, like add grooming? Or was it just kind of like, hey, maybe we should add grooming? Like, you know what I mean? Was it
It
like
was,
planned out?
I think, no, it wasn't planned out. It wasn't like, hey, we need to make sure we have it. It was, I believe Christine approached us and said, "Hey, you
Okay.
guys might be able to add grooming," but I'd have to ask Jason to be sure. I'm sorry, I don't remember for sure. But he he was doing baths. Like I said, it was all him all the time. He was doing exit baths, and then she eventually, the two of them started working together, and he was, helping bathe dogs for her and that kind of stuff. And
Great.
that's kind of how the grooming department came about. Because
Okay.
when she was ready to retire, we didn't have a groomer anymore. And then, like I said, we met Kristen, who's our current grooming manager, and we're so lucky we found her, or she found us too. So,
Well, I mean, and that's great that these people are finding you guys because I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not, but it is incredibly difficult to find talented groomers. I mean, that's probably the number one question in our community is, where do I find another skilled groomer? And a lot of it comes down to,
mhm.
what your facility's like and your training and stuff like that. But what you guys have been able to do, again, I wouldn't even call it luck. I mean, it's again, you guys made a name for yourself where people are
Yeah,
finding you, which takes away this whole breadth of problems that a lot
yeah,
of us deal with when finding that talent, right?
yeah. And it is definitely, I mean, so I keep talking about our grooming manager, and she's absolutely wonderful, but she wants to retire eventually one day. And so we're always looking to add groomers to our staff as well. And it really is very difficult to find anyone. We have had some people who've been apprenticing with her, and some of them decided they didn't like it. But there is one that's with her now that absolutely seems to love it and is learning a lot. And so, you know, it is really, really hard to find someone who's already skilled and comes into and is willing to go into another facility. It's hard. They're hard to find. The groomers are hard to
I mean,
find.
it's so hard. And I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad
Yeah.
thing, right? I mean, it's a good thing because I mean, we know, I mean, I tell our community members all the time that like grooming is like such a skilled profession where you
It
can't
is.
just pick it up and learn it overnight, right? And it's
Right.
not just
Right.
like you can just, turn off your brain while you're doing it either. You need someone that's smart, intelligent, someone that works hard,
Mhm.
and someone that is also always learning because there's
Right.
so many breeds. All the
Yes.
coats are so different. I mean,
Mhm.
clients want different things too. So it's incredibly difficult, especially with all the
It is.
demand. I'm curious, do most people now at your guys' facility, do they come in for one thing, albeit boarding or something like that, and then get the suite of offerings, or are they all kind of siloed in their client base?
No, they definitely come in for one or more of the services. So pretty much all of our grooming customers I would imagine come to us for boarding. Some of them don't want to board their dogs, they use pet sitters and that kind of thing, but the same kind of thing, we do a lot of baths for dogs who are boarding. And then people will tell me all the time, I've never had my dog bathed this well, and just start becoming regular grooming customers at that point because they're like so impressed with that. Or they'll see the trainer outside, working with the
I
dog, and
love
oh, I didn't
that.
know you had training, and they'll add that in
Yeah,
too. So they kind of all help each other, all the
they all
departments.
cross pollinate. Wait, so did
Yeah.
you say if I have a dog or if there's a dog boarding, you guys will give it a bath from let's call it the grooming department?
Yeah. So not automatically. The customers, we ask them if they want it.
Okay.
But yeah, the
Okay.
groomers are the ones. We have like a full bathing staff and the groomers, the stylists that do the haircuts. But yeah, so we'll get that. But they're all trained under the same way. They're all bathing the same way. And so the dogs really do go home super clean, looking good, all
I mean,
fluffy
no,
and
that's
happy.
That's
So
amazing
they
because
love
I
it.
mean, what that
Yeah.
does too is like you just said, that exposes people that maybe are either A, using a different groomer, or B, not going to a groomer because maybe they're not educated or they just don't know, right? But they're going
Right.
there for boarding and you guys are leaving it with the cleanest dog on planet Earth. I mean, it's the cleanest you've ever seen. The next thing you know, they're asking questions like, "Holy cow! Like, how do I get this every time?" And you start waiting in kind of the grooming. I mean, that is a great whether
Mhm.
you guys are doing. I mean, whether you're doing it on purpose or not, it's a great way to like cross sell those two.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's definitely because we have bathing is an important thing when you're in a boarding facility for sure. Dogs are running around outside and they're going to go home to their really fancy bed. The families are like, hey, don't bring the mud into my house. Make sure you clean them before they come home because we don't have that in our backyard. So it's something that's very attractive to boarding customers for sure. And it's really nice to be able to also offer the more, the styling of the breeds and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah. No, I mean that
So,
makes sense. We have a dog park near us, and back when it opened, we used to take our dog there, and they didn't have any sort of. It's a dog park and boarding facility, but it's like the
mhm.
outdoor is kind of open to like you can have like just a dog park membership,
Oh,
and
cool.
so it's where the boarding dogs kind of play too. But we used to take our dog there, and right when it opened, we used to go all the time, but they didn't have a bather. And so we
Okay.
would leave and our dog would be super muddy. The boarding clients would leave and their dogs would be super muddy. And then eventually they added in dog washing. And you're
Mhm.
right. I mean, it's worlds different. Every time I'd go there before, I'd be like, I'm budgeting in an hour. I'm budgeting in my
Yeah.
my truck getting extremely dirty and an hour
Yeah.
afterwards to bathe my dog myself.
Bathe the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Versus now,
Get the car
they've
cleaned up.
got yeah, yeah, exactly. Versus now they've got the bathing, and it's like you're right. I mean, you might as well do both in one, and then you start adding on all these other services. So I'm curious
Yeah.
now, from a business owner's perspective, grooming obviously is high intensity like service, right?
Mhm.
You just said you have a separate bathing team, you have a grooming like styling team. You have a whole different prices list for that. You have a whole different maybe even kind of client book for that. It's a lot of work is really what I'm getting at, but
Mhm.
it's clearly worth it to have that as an offering. I'm curious how you see as a business owner, like how it's worth juggling 5 or 6 different offerings.
It's it is, but we have managers, and team leads and that kind of thing. So even though we have all these departments, it's not one person or one group of people that's managing all the different departments. We have a completely different staff who's taking care of the boarding and daycare dogs. They do get cross trained, so they can do both. If the grooming department's not available and someone has an accident, we all know how to wash the dog properly. But because we have we have a big staff, and if we didn't, I think that we would probably be, overwhelmed. But and it took a long time to get to the fact that we do. Like I keep saying, it was just Jason, him all the time. My light just went off. And he, so little by little, we have lots of people now who help us keep it a little bit more under control because we're not doing the day to day stuff really anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how we're able to juggle all of them, I think.
I mean, that makes sense. And again, time is your best friend. You guys have been
Yeah.
at this you didn't start yesterday,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you just kind of pick off a little bit each day and it adds up after 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been established for quite a while. So it happened, but it definitely, I think that we had a huge turning point when we started getting feedback and getting information from other pet facility owners. And so we went to Hershey for the first time. I can't remember, it's maybe going for a while now. And just everyone else is in the same boat. We're all dealing with the same types of things. And people who are more experienced gave us lots of tips from just changing the name. We used to be called Alpha Kennels, and we went to one seminar and they were like, this is what you think of when you think of word kennel. And it really stuck with me. So we changed the name to Alpha Pet Resort. I'm like, it really is a pet resort. We don't just stick them in kennels all day
Oh my
long, and nobody
gosh.
does,
Yeah.
So that was like kind of the seed that got planted. And really, we credit having learned so much from everybody else. That's how we were able to get to where we are now.
I mean, that is
So,
incredible. And that's one of the big goals of this podcast here is I try and bring on people like yourself. I mean, we brought on tons of pet facility owners. And I say facility
mhm.
because I mean, it's really boring, kennels, let's call it, grooming
Mhm.
facilities, pet sitting facilities, all sorts of business owners, because you're right. There's so much to learn from other people because that are running businesses because they're in your own shoes. They're
Mhm.
doing the same thing. And a lot of times you're so focused on running your business, you don't have time to go to Hershey, every year.
Right.
You don't have time to go to all the shows. You don't have time to go
Mhm.
to seminars and that sort of stuff, right? And
Right.
so that's definitely pretty key. And that's why I say too, I mean,
Mhm.
it's free to learn from other business owners. And a lot of people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
like, no one's really viewed as competition, right? So it's a lot of the tips are free for sharing, which is
Mhm.
great. That is really smart though, changing the name from kennels to pet resort.
Yeah, it was somebody, another, I think it was the dog gurus that suggested. I can't remember. I'm sorry if it wasn't them, but it was a long time ago. And we were at a seminar, and I was like, and like I said, it just really stuck with me. And yeah, we can't always leave to go to seminars and things like that. But because I would go to lots of others if I could, but it really is. I love that social media is available now so that people can learn from each other because, we're all in the same boat. Everyone's like, there's enough dogs to go around. We don't have to be in some crazy competition even with local groomers here. We all just work together to make sure we're all doing the best that we can for the animals, because that's what it comes down to, is the animals, that they're getting the best care they can. That's really what
That's
matters more than anything.
yeah, oh yeah. No, we say pets
Yeah.
over profit here.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Tell me, are you guys using social media right now to grow Alpha Pet Resort?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't, like, okay, so again, I keep talking about how old I am, but I use TikTok, but I don't know how to make TikToks that well. So I rely a lot on people who work with us and my 18-year-old son to help me with that kind of stuff. So I do get it. If there any of the social media that's out there, especially if it's TikTok, all came from other people's ideas. I don't have.
Okay.
I will provide the equipment,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So definitely those types of things are from other people's help as well. We have like regular social media that we do. We promote, especially like we do have daycare events and those kind of things. So
Okay.
we use the social media to promote our products and that kind of stuff for sure, and our services, all that stuff.
Do you find the effort around maintaining social media worth it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
people
Because
will.
it's driving
Yeah,
new clients, or it's just kind of like fostering the community?
I would say both, because we'll have people who we post a picture of their dog, they share it with their friends, and people find out about us that way. But even if they don't, they just love being able to share the fact that their pet is enjoying themselves. Is having a fun time, and so and like you said, fostering that community. So I feel like they both happen, and it's really nice. Our customers love finding out, seeing what their dogs are doing during the day. They miss them, they want them to be happy.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a great idea to use social media to like showcase, you've got these dogs at your facility. So it's a great idea to use social media to showcase just snap pictures of them throughout the day, and the owners will love it. It's a great way to do that customer relationship building that we were talking about before. And I mean, it's a great way to build your social media channels. I just find like a lot of times we kind of, have to weigh the balances of like, oh, like I would like to do social media, but I'm so busy and I don't really get like what the return of it is for. But
Hmm.
obviously, what you're saying is, hey, it's more than just driving new clients through the door. It's a mode to do customer relationship building.
Yeah, it is. If we take a really cute picture after a dog has been groomed, people are so excited to share it. Like, look how good my dog looks. Look, he just went to the salon, and like, look how cute he is. His bandana is adorable. So yeah, even if they're not sharing with their friends, it means a lot to the customers to be part of the social media. Also, they love
That is incredible. That is
it.
so cool. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's such a good idea, and it's such like a little thing that you can do after a grooming
Hmm.
service that's going to provide a lot of value.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is time consuming. It can be, but even just snapping a cute before and after picture, people love to see grooming before and after pictures. Quick picture before, quick picture after, post it later in the day. And that's probably the least time consuming thing to do. But, when you get into videos and stuff, it is, but even just the pictures themselves make a big difference to the families I have found.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
not everyone's got an 18-year-old son lying around, so
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I can handle, like I said, I can handle that type of social media without any help.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's easy stuff. I mean, it's really just
Yeah.
falling into a routine of like, okay, every time I take a new client, let me take a before picture, let me take an after picture, and then have, text it to the client or upload it to our software, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
I'm curious, do you guys have like a set of routines or like a standard operating procedure for your grooming staff that includes something like that? Or everyone kind of does their own process?
We have so overall as a company, we aim to, and the goal is to do one social media post per department each week. So that doesn't always get done. We really don't always have the time for it. But the groomers, part of their thing is to take a picture at the end of each day of each of the dogs that they've groomed, if they have the time. And so we try to do that, but that's what the goal is. It doesn't always get done, but that's the goal. Just because sometimes we're
Okay.
too
No, I mean that
busy,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even just having that there, that serves as a reminder that, like, hey, this is like a priority for all of us in this. This is again, I love the way that you
Right.
view it, where it's like it's a way to like keep that relationship with the customer, great. It's not just for new business, right? Like
Mhm.
I mean, I know so many groomers out there are slammed, like their books are completely busy. They don't need more new business, but this is a great way to
Mhm.
keep your customers happy and keep them engaged and all sorts
Yeah.
of stuff. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Talk to me, I guess, as we kind of round the corner here. We've talked about you guys finding this facility, what buying it looks like, what you guys did when you got there, and then kind of the journey along the way. What's next for you guys? I mean, you guys have been doing this for 20 years now. You guys have one mega empire facility where all the alphas run out in Virginia. Is kind of on your mind, let's maybe open up another one, or is it more so let's bring in more service offerings? What's kind of like that next step you guys are looking at taking?
It's actually something we're talking about now. So it would be nice to have another facility. We would need to do a lot more research because we do live in a rural area. So, but we have a good customer base close enough by. So, we would have a lot to think about, but it is a possibility in the back of our minds of what would we do next. But we're finally at the point, like I said, where we don't have to be involved in the day to day every start of the business, and it took a long time to get there. But that in and of itself is enough for us to just want to be in it like it is. We have enough time for our family, and we didn't for years. um,
Yeah.
so the fact that we could spend Christmas somewhere else other than here was a big deal. And so I think for us, this might be a good spot for us right now to be able to own it and not have to do all the day-to-day stuff. Still involved, I mean, my
Yeah.
phone's, I'm
Yeah.
getting texts right now from people
Yeah.
about it, but still, just being able to really enjoy the fun parts of it because
No,
we
I
love
like
it. I mean,
that.
it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, and this is what you have built this for, right? I mean, obviously for the pet parents and everything, but like that's why you did all this work is so you could
Yeah.
get, your life back. And now,
Yeah.
you know, you guys finally can spend time with your family and take vacations and stuff like that. I mean, I like
Yeah.
that you're not so eager to like, okay, let's go, like, let's forget about all this stuff we just worked towards and let's do it again,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like
I mean, that's why I said, like, it's in the back of our mind, but it would be a lot to start another one for sure. But
yeah.
we know a lot more now, so it wouldn't take nearly as long to get to this point with
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, no, I mean that totally makes sense. Okay, so Mickey, if people want to talk to you or learn more about what you guys are doing, I know you guys have. First off, I mean some compliments. Your guys' social medias channels are beautiful, and the
Oh,
website is
thank you.
beautiful too. I wish I could see. I wish I was in person looking at the resort because from the pictures it looks incredible, and I can't even believe that some of the things that you said about how it used to be, because of how far it's come. I mean, it is really
Yeah.
incredible. If people want to find you, look at some of this stuff, is the website the best place to go? Shout out the social media channels, kind of shout out all these things that people can go look up.
Yeah, so the website email address is mine. That would go right to me. But the social media, we have Facebook, it's just Alpha Pet Resort. Instagram is Alpha Pet Resort. We have a TikTok. What is the name of it? Alpha Pet Resort Culpepper. That's the adult. But yeah, any of those things are totally fine with me. I'm happy to talk to anybody if they're interested.
Perfect. Mickey, you're awesome. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
story and
Thank
how
you.
far you guys have come is incredibly impressive.
Thank you.
And
And thanks
that's the
again for
pod.
having me. I appreciate it. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
of
you.
course. No, no, no. We love it. I mean, we're so grateful that you were able to come on.
Thank you.